So today we're going to talk about my sexuality and kind of how I discovered it. So we're going to talk about, first of all, my feelings about both males and females. Now, as a young child, I've always been attracted to males. That has started when I was very young. I would think about 6 years old, I had crushes on males. So I was always attracted to males. But it was around puberty age, around 9, I became attracted to females. So I was very confused at that point. I would watch the girls in the changing rooms and I would be like, I kind of like girls too. So I was kind of like interested in females too around age 9. So I was kind of interested in females too, but I didn't know how to go about that until around age 13. I was kind of scared at that point because I was still interested in females years later. So I became a born again Christian at that point. Now, don't get me wrong, that did not cure anything. With sexuality, your feelings are valid. There is no cure for it. It's not like I talked about in my last video about being trans, how it's a very small number of people. Bisexuality is actually a larger number of people. There are actually a larger number of people that are bisexual because it's actually a lot more common than you would think than transgender. Bisexuality is a lot more common. So, bisexuality is a lot more common. So, as I was figuring things out with bisexuality, I was also figuring out my gender identity. So, it was very confusing. So, it was a very confusing time for me in my teen years. I was still figuring things out. I wasn't sure how I felt, but I was attracted to both genders pretty much, all the way from 9 to currently. But I realized recently that I do not. The past couple years of being an adult, trying to navigate my first relationships, I realized that I do not like to be touched. I realize I do not like to be touched. I'm not sure if that's from past trauma or abuse, but I do not like to be touched, like really much at all. I like very light touching or like none at all. So I'm thinking I'm actually more asexual. So I'm asexual and like biromantic kind of thing. So I am ace and biromantic, so that means I like both genders, but I am also more romantic with both genders. It's more of a romantic attraction to both genders than it is sexual. It's more of a romantic attraction to both genders. So I have a romantic attraction to both genders. I want companionship, but I'm not much for sex. I'm hoping that makes sense. So I am asexual where I don't really like sex that much. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just not really much for sex. I like cuddling, I like kissing, like hugging, but I'm just not much for sex or touching. But that is fine. That's just how I feel. I'm just more interested in the romantic part, like the dinner dates or the going out to the movies and things like that. I like the romantic side of dating. I like to be romantic with people. And I hope that makes sense. I like to be romantic with people rather than the sexual. I don't really have much of a sex drive at all. I don't really have much of that. I do get a little bit of it, but it's not very much. I'm just more interested in romantic relationships rather than sex. I hope that makes sense to people, but I hardly ever have to do anything down there because I don't really feel that much interest. I don't have much of a sex drive, but I am interested in romantic relationships. So I like the romance, I'm just not much for the sex. Um, so I am asexual and biromantic. So that is how I identify it. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I hope that answers some questions. Um, Asexual biromantic is a real thing. Um, it does make sense. Everybody's a little different. Sexualities are very complex, so everybody has a little bit of a different sexuality. It all depends on how you feel about relationships and sex, but everybody's a little different. But it's fine to be asexual. I realized that recently that it's perfectly fine. I just tried relationships with touching and things, and it just didn't work out. So yeah, that's how I realized that I'm asexual. From a personal experience, it just doesn't work out. I just don't care for the sex, but I love the romantic part of it. Some asexuals will have sex for their partner, but they're just not interested in it. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that or not, but everybody's a little different. But some people will do it for their partner. If their partner is interested in sex, they will do it occasionally for their partner. Some people will not. It just depends on how they feel. But everybody's a little different. I'm just not much for sex. I hope that makes sense, and I will see you guys next time. Bye now.